Hello to viewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Rocket Monday, we're going to talk about Roscosmos reality in 2025. So let's dive deep into it. Now, before we understand Roscosmos, we have to understand USSR. Now, you have to understand there were a lot of small countries, a large nation, and stuff like that. And they had kingship and czar and all that. And the basically people got fed up and fight started. That happened in 1917, basically revolution. And by 1922, a regime change was done and Soviet Union was created. And it had like four major party, which was Russian, Ukrainian, Belarusian, and Transcaucasus. It's a very weird name. It's a different region. And yes, they were the only original signee. After that, they slowly started to adapt or hey, just come. And they slowly digested a lot of smaller regions. So they became actually quite a large section of population. Now, so far, so good. And in terms of space, they are very significant simply because they became the first nation to put man-made object into orbit. Now, be mindful, this is the time we are talking about like late 1950s. We had reached ICBM, as in we can boom each other from other side of the planet. Although, mathematically people knew this is as early as like V2 era that we could actually send something into orbit where it just keeps rotating rather than falling. But nobody has actually done that. So first time Sputnik 1, this puppy was basically launched on 4 October 1957 on top of ICBM. Basically, they took ICBM, modified it a little bit and launched this puppy. Now, this was the first satellite. Now, if you ever find it like, okay, why this first satellite was so sparse, as in like, it only had a radio that was going boop, boop, boop on basically, internal battery. Why? Well, they actually had a plan. And I'm talking 1957. They had a plan, proper satellite plan, where it's like, okay, this will be a satellite, this will have this sort of instrument, this is gonna do this and all that. They had a proper plan for that. However, just before this launch, there was a rumor or some discussion from American president of that time that they're gonna try to launch a satellite. It was just either spied on or something happened, because this is before Twitter and all that. So something happened, and Soviet Union decided that if we try to launch that, we will be behind basically America. So they were like, okay, let's expedite it. So this is what we call minimum viable product. They just made the bare minimum that they can do, put it on a ICBM and yeeted it. That was the whole point. And it did what they wanted it to do. Basically, it triggered the space race. That's the good part. And it scared America shitless. Basically, Soviet fires Earth satellite into space. It is circling the globe at 18,000 miles per hour. Sphere tracked in 4 crossings over USA. So it made America poop itself. Like, let that be very clear. It actually happened. There were only other event that was like one event that was this bad, and it scared America a lot, because you're mindful, ICBMs were a thing at that point in time. But everybody's like, oh, you're gonna launch it, we're gonna have some things. This was like, okay, I'm gonna launch it and put it in orbit. Like, that was a completely different paradigm shift. It's like, put it in orbit, the end. Like, I'm gonna launch and I'm gonna put it, so whenever I want to boom you, I can boom you because I'll be going on top of you. So that was a completely different new paradigm, so to say. And they became a very capable nation. That was just one start. And then they slowly started to chip away at it, as in okay, what's the next? Put a person into space. They did manage to do that. So they were very capable in terms of space competency. And there were 3 main things that were driving it. First, they had vast resources. Like, the amount of resources Soviet Union had was like, yes. Do you need this? Yes. You have it? Yes. The end. Like, think it this way: at peak of Soviet Union power, they had enough titanium that America spied them and figured something out, got titanium from them, made SR-71, and then used that to spy on them. That's how bonkersly rich in terms of minerals and the resources they were when it comes to their peak power, Soviet Union. And they had capable minds, because yes, money and all that is like Venezuela versus Soviet, basically Arab Emirates. Both have oil. Heck, so Venezuela has more oil. It's like, what happened? Same thing. They had capable mind also. And money was free flowing because of US rivalry. Meaning, I will do this, it will allow us to reach in space. Check. Don't ask. Check. So this was the start of a great space race. However, If you studied history, you will understand that was must be hollow, because again, if that country was that great, what the hell happened? Well, USA was scared of basically the brain power USSR had, because it's almost like they knew, they knew roughly that Soviet Union should not be able to do this many space things. So that means somebody with intelligence is behind them, like with actual brain power. So Sergei Kirylev, this gentleman, was the actual father of space program. Basically, he was Robert Oppenheimer of that project, so to say. Because be mindful, Soviet Union does not have enough, freedom, enough flexibility, enough competence to just do this sort of things. So there must be someone who's like, okay, whatever little you have, I'm gonna combine it, use all the resources available, properly do it, and tada! So he was that. And again, Soviet Union realized that. So he basically had his name changed and put it on basic chief name and all that. So they made sure that he was very protected, so to say. However, we are talking about Soviet Union. So even though he was one of the greatest mind in Soviet Union, they put him in Gulag during the Stalin purge era. And be mindful, Gulag and prison are different. Prison, you go, you come back. Gulag, you go, you disappear. And he was sent there and he was tortured, and almost the rumor has it he broke his jaw badly, like bad jaw destruction, and but he survived, luckily. And he was pulled out. It's again, he was aviation expert, so he was like, okay, you're gonna design this thing. And he moved heaven and earth and actually delivered. So he was the basically backbone of it. And unfortunately, the Gulag experience and overworking from all these things, he passed away surprisingly early. Given how much more he could have done, he passed away. And the biggest reason why after him they could not continue is simply because there was no private enterprise. That's the whole point of communism. Now, what does that mean? Simply means this way. If America wants to do something, there will be at least 3 to 4 teams trying to fight it. There will be Air Force, there will be Army. This is the early days. That time there was no NASA also. NACA, I think something was like that. So each of them will try to do something different. Heck, Navy will say, hey, we also want the abilities. Like, what the hell? But again, benefit of that is everybody will try to do something different. Benefit is in few years, because you will have tried so many parallel paths, at the end of it, as in you start here, 5 years later, you will have exponentially grown. Even if your system does not work, some things would have worked. Other people will share that information and they will do the same thing. So it's almost like running a multi-core processor. So lack of private enterprise simply limits the competition. Everybody has to do what is coming down from top. It's basically why India does not have fighter jet program. It's basically government is like, okay, we have a lot of private companies. They could fight against each other, and it's like, okay, make it, and we'll select the best one. No, it's like, okay, government is gonna make a branch, call it HAL, and we're gonna give it money for 35 years to make a jet engine. True story. So that was the limitation of Soviet Union. That's why they did not have that much flexibility. Everything was on razor thin margin because it was all driven by basically luck. One shot. There was no backup. There was no growth, so to say. So there was no redundancy, no resilience. Meaning, if one thing goes bad, there is nothing else to pick up the slack, so to say. And it was just single shot. Meaning, either it works or it kaputs. There is no let's try brick by brick build up the competency. No, it's go or nothing. And another aspect is that people many times kind of fail to understand that America was not behind. America was just few days behind. How quick? If we were talking about solely about this one fact, person into basically space, that's the only thing we're talking about. America and basically Yuri Gagarin and Shepard was only 23 days apart. As in, Yuri Gagarin happened and NASA successfully launched Shepard. And you're like, okay, I have heard that name. Yeah, that's what is the name of Blue Origin's New Shepard rocket name is, because that's also a suborbital rocket, and Shepard was also a suborbital. It's like, okay, why did they do suborbital if Yuri Gagarin did orbital? That's the whole point. American philosophy was brick by brick. Russian philosophy was KGB told us they're gonna launch it, make sure we do it before that. That's it. Either it works or this happens. And yes, this happened. There is an actual person there. Kaput. It did happen. So Russians were flying blind rage. Americans were completely different. Russians were okay, we're gonna put a dog and eat it. Americans were we're gonna put a chimpanzee and eat it and have a parachute. Hope, try, wish, pray to have recovery. That was and to be fair, Soviet Union, even after one launch, they're yeah, this is a bit too rude, too cruel. That just gonna eat a dog there. It's they're yeah, this is a bit mean. Americans, again, they also had failures, but it was not we did not try. It was not we launched it, good luck. No, we launched it, we tried to recover it. If it did not happen, we'll try better. So America was weeks behind, not like years over years over years. It's not that. It's very sad. First time they did space docking and all that, oxygen valve failed, and this became the only time in humanity so far. Knock on wood, I hope that never cracks away. They died in space. This is the only time that happened. 3 people during de-docking, the oxygen valve malfunctioned or something, and they basically asphyxiated. Everything worked. It's just that they did not have oxygen. So this happened. This happened because of the parachute failure. This happened due to that valve failure. So they were rushing a lot, while Americans were like very slow and methodic. Heck, they almost scrapped the whole Apollo project because Apollo 1 fire, which happened on ground, not in space, in ground. So completely different thought process, so to say. And USA was very thorough, and that allowed them to actually pick up the pace. It was like, okay, brick by brick, day by day. I mean, a multi-core processor, and Apollo was the result of it. Apollo is like, hey, we have this company making this, we have this company making this, we have that company making. Of course, they're gonna succeed. And here's the deal: even if they did not have the brain power to match this guy, that's how revered this individual is. It's like, dude was smart. They had stable politics. They were not taking their scientist and let's cook him in gulag. So it was hollow. And again, when you read Soviet Union, that's the whole point. It's hollow. That's why it kaput itself. Now let's understand Russia. Now Russia is basically Soviet Union officially dissolved in 26 December 1991. And it was dying before that. It was like 1990 was like, yep, done, the end. We tried this thing. It was stupid and we died. And Russia was the survivor. Let that be clear. It's not a successor, it's a survivor. The country was this big, Soviet Union, it became like this, Russia. And all the smaller nations, they were like, yup. They ran like there is no tomorrow. It's like, nope. So that happened. And what happened to the people who were stuck in Russia? Well, here's the deal. People were broken by 2 core things: poverty and stupidity. It's almost like how North Korea is today. We have ICBM. It's like, bro, you do not have electricity. You do not have electricity. What the hell I'm going to do with ICBM? That was the reality. And again, you can see it in people's reproductive output. TFR must not go below 2.1. You die if you do that. It was 6.3 at the beginning of Soviet Union. And by the time Chernobyl has happened, by the time Cold War has concluded, they had lost. By the time Afghan war has gone on for, I think, 10 years. And people had just like lost. They're just like, yeah, we can't afford food. Like things that were okay for Americans is just like, hey, duh, was like luxury for Soviet Union people. It's like, it was bad. And again, that's why it dissolved. If it was great, it would not have dissolved. If it was great, every nation that ran away would not have ran away. So TFR went below 2, as in like barely 2. And Russia actually did not actually succeed. Like if you track from 1991, that 2 number was barely stable and then it dropped. Right now, it's really bad. Some people are saying it's actually 1.2. 1.2 means you're dead, and not in like 90 years from now. No, you're dead as in like 60 years from now. It takes 30 years. Each slot is 30 years. So USA realized a very grim reality that there are way too many people that know how to build ICBMs working in Soviet space program. If all of them dissolve, like just kaput, disappear from there, and they will go into what they called adversarial nation to the west, go there, basically Arab nations, they will have ICBM technology. And what if they are not stupid like Soviet Union? What if they are smart? Hey, this guy is smart. Whatever he wants, give him money, give him freedom. What then? Like what then? So they created what we call basically housing loan for space scientists, and they called it ISS, International Space Station. If you ever wondered why the heck ISS has so much Russian part, that's the reason. The original part was Freedom Station. Not joking, that was the original name. Then they reworked it. It's like, okay. So US worked with ISS, so ICBM technology can be kept away from adversarial systems. And here's the deal. This is the time when there was a unstable time. Putin comes into the fold and he centralized the power. Basically the same thing Stalin did, and then he stabilizes the nation. Same thing Stalin did, and then you know what happened afterwards. So most of USSR space asset, right? They built this and everybody's like, oh, this was so much better. No, it was not. It was running on blood. Not even joking. Like it's exact same philosophy as North Korea. It's like, we do not have electricity and you have a goddamn space program. No. Of course, the moment that happened, nobody, even preserved this. That's the tragic part of it. So much, labor, manpower went into making this. It's not even preserved. Like remove the technology, just preserve it just as a thing. Like, so much effort was put into it, just preserve it. They did not. The only thing that was preserved is this puppy. Even the Buran rocket launcher and all that, all of them were kaput. Heck, this is no longer even intact if I'm not mistaken. I think the roof, they were trying to restore it and collapsed and kaput this. So that's why it happened. Like Russia could not have tried to sustain these things. They just did not have enough money. And by the time Putin stabilized it, it was not actually stable. It was exact same thing that Soviet Union did. It's like oligarchs are rich, everybody else, good luck. Some things did improve. Let that be very clear. Some things did improve. They did use capital systems, so something did improve. But these things were like the glory days were gone. Like Russia and Soviet Union, they are not in the same ballpark. One was like, whoa, really actually had some horsepower. Another was like, can we keep continuing this? Okay, that is in 1991. That's years ago, as in like what, 35, 36 years ago. So what happened there? Well, Soyuz is the core of Russian space program, basically making sure the scientists do not disappear. This puppy. It's exact same thing from 1967. They did not modernize it. As in like the modernize is in the rocket. Like this is the rocket, let's make a newer rocket. Nope. If you're like, hey, wait a minute, Yuri Gagarin rocket looks exactly like this. Yeah, it's the same thing. They did not tamper with it. And penalty of that is like the technology is ironically so old that America also had something stupid like this where they had a matchstick going from the rocket nozzle firing things. V2 also was trying, no, V2, sorry, if I'm not mistaken, V2 was using a sort of hypergolic ignition system. So they were using this system. Cool, awesome, fine. But here's the deal, they never upgraded from that. In the meantime, if rumors are to be true, Raptor uses microwave cavity ignition system. A space shuttle had torch ignition, as in there was a small electrical arc that had a small gas generator with oxygen and fuel that created a pilot flame. That pilot flame ignited the main system. Falcon 9 has a T-tap system. None of the American system have a freaking wood stick, matchstick going inside. Like that was cool and fine and dandy for 1967. It's not dandy for 2027, but it is there. And in terms of launch infrastructure, Baikonur Cosmodrome, this puppy, is still the only launch pad that can sustain this. There is no backup. They did try to there was a lot of it, by the way. You go here, Google Map, and you will find a lot of other launch pad, but they are all decommissioned, so to say. So they can only sustain one because again, oligarchs became rich. Russia did not become rich. So they could not afford this. Like they do pay $100 million for this, which again is dirt cheap. 100 million, America would be like, 100 million for this, we spend more on that. It's like, and one car is that much. Bugatti Veyron is that much. I know it's not that much. You get the point. Like America would be like, dude, 100 million, you can get this. Like where can we find that deal? So this is there. And if you're like, okay, why the heck the clamping system is so convoluted? Yeah, because in 1967 they did not had enough oomph in technology. They're like, okay, if rocket is launched, we can pitch it. We can't pitch it in another direction. It's like, go, like, launch and go. So it's like, what if you rotated the rocket? Again, made sense for that time. It's like, it was very early on. Nobody knew how to do it. Heck, if you look into early American launcher rocket system, they did not have trust that they could reignite the engine. So there's like parallel staging. They did parallel staging just for that one reason. We do not trust whether we can ignite an engine in space or not. So again, it made sense for that time. Having this all cumbersome infrastructure right now, it's like, so Kazakhstan, basically this puppy is the only one that can basically send astronaut to ISS, and there is no backup. There is no other site. They are trying to make one or two site that is in Russia, but rocket does not have enough margin that it can launch from there and dock to ISS. It's not impossible. It just will consume too much fuel. But if your rocket is barely working, because again, it's made on the same philosophy as 1967, So, and they did work on Angara rocket, which is supposed to be the next generation. Again, if I'm not mistaken, they're supposed to make it a next gen system, including a human rated one. That did not happen. So progress is very slow, and cadence, while they do launch it, Angara rocket once or while, it's very low cadence. It's like, basically, if you compare the progress of Roscosmos to ISRO will look like, damn, ISRO is flying. We went from having nothing to building everything brick by brick, day by day, and having new technology. Not like, okay, copy paste from old, like new technology, brand new. We did. And most of the space progress work was stopped in 24 February 2022. They wanted that hold for 3 days. I'm not sure how that is going right now. So what is the reality of Roscosmos? Well, here's the Soyuz MS-28 did happen. They did launch it. That was on 27 November 2025. ISS crew is completely safe, went into ISS. However, the pad was kaput. Now, Pied was kaput, and I'm like, okay, what the hell happened? Because again, the upper structure looks the same, but there is this platform structure. The platform structure goes from the bottom, locks everything from down, put the matchsticks and all that. That's why you do need this platform. And then it retracts, and there is a door. There is a big ass door sealing it. Because if you do not seal it, the vacuum created by rocket is like, wait, how the heck rocket creates vacuum? Whoosh, whoosh. So that super duper high flow creates a suction force, and you're like, okay, at the best case scenario, that will only create 15 psi, which again, it's not that much. And again, you do not have a sealed chamber, so it will not be 15 psi, but you have a giant surface area, so it will create enough oomph. If you do not lock it down, it will pull anything out. It can just like yeet a locomotive. That's how much power we are talking about. So this supposed to go into a chamber, supposed to lock the blast shield. It went into the chamber, blast shield was deployed, but apparently it did not latch. As in the mechanism, either mechanism gave out or something bad happened, and it just like wheat, it was sucked out of there. So this has landed. Now they must fix it very quickly, because again, ISS has a very long, what you call, list of rocket launches that has to happen. Is almost like a clockwork. It's like, okay, you're gonna launch this, you're gonna deploy this astronauts, you're gonna deploy this much supplies, we're gonna launch this, we're gonna have this many astronauts, we're gonna have this much supply. It's almost like a clockwork. Now let that be very clear, ISS does have redundancy, with some extra redundancy and some extra supplies, so there is no danger if they fail to do next supply. However, somebody else has to carry the load. So they have to fix it. If they fail to meet their next timeline, which is, if I'm not mistaken, 9 months from now, it will be bad. And again, bad as in not supposed to happen. They will shift anything else that they could in order to extend the stay. And there are options that there are ISS rated system, like SpaceX is one of the quickest one, as in like in this time period. You technically even have other rocket systems. Keep forgetting the name. That weird capsule, that resupply mission, they could do resupply mission with other thing also. SpaceX is also there, and SpaceX has enough cadence that they can, like, switch rockets around and launch something very quickly. So that can be done, and it will not be any issue or hazard for ISS. That's done, sorted. However, this duration gives us a very clear glimpse. Like, we did not have clear glimpse of what the hell was going on in USSR in the last moments. Heck, even CIA was like, what the hell just happened? So this time we have a clear glimpse. If Russia repairs this whole puppy in less than the next launch window, like when they're supposed to launch next, if they can do it, that's like, they're good, they got this. Can Soviet Union have done that? Yes. Soviet Union were like, bro, they would have started cleaning this out in 1 week, and 2 weeks later they would have a plan, and third week, done. Maybe it took 2 to 3 months total, but they were good. Like when Soviet Union political party was outside, and they got the right people in the chamber, and do the work. It was awesome. But Russia is not that. So let's see. So if they delay the launch, and it's like, okay, it's only delayed by 1 or 2 months, Russia is in the yellow. And if it takes more than 2 years, Russia is in red. It's basically you are watching Soviet Union crash in slow motion. So this will be a very good actual measurement. It's like, because again, you only have one launch pad. If you had a new rocket system, you had a completely high power rocket system that can launch from Russia and go to ISS, that would have been awesome, but you did not develop that. You were busy giving your oligarchs boats that were more costly than Moscow. Like, how the heck that happens? So this is the reality of it. It's nowhere near the glory days of Soviet Union. And again, Soviet Union was not truly a glory day. They were leeching way too much, and people just gave up at some point. It's like, yeah, this is not working. So let's see. This will be the best test we have from outside. No propaganda, nothing. What the hell is going on? If they can repair it under time, awesome. If they can delay it a little bit, yellow. If they're like, yeah, for years it drags on, it will be the same embarrassment that Russia did to America after America lost its wing by grounding the space shuttle. This time, basically, Russian astronauts have to go to SpaceX, although they will like it because one is a washing machine, another is a phone booth size. So I'd rather go in phone booth than a washing machine. So this was my presentation on Roscosmos actual reality of at the end of 2025. Hopefully you have liked it, learned from it. In that case, please hit the like button, share it amongst your friends. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I urge you to press dislike, press it twice to show my disappointment. Please leave a comment because I do try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free. And as always, thanks for watching.